Hello and welcome to Daily Biz with the latest business stories here in Vietnam. I'm Minh Hằng and here are today's headlines. More funding raised for transport infrastructure. Vietnam joins a European Seafood Trade Network. And Bình Định Province develops tuna production chain. Now we kickstart with the recap of today's stock market. VN Index continued in a red color on its billboard in the first trading sessions of the week. In the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange, the VN Index lost 3.5 points to settle at 614.22. A total of nearly 120 million shares were traded with a value of more than $106 million. The VN 30 Index, composed of the world's 30 leading stocks in terms of capitalization and liquidity, decreased 0.65 points to close at 651.07. At Hanoi Stock Exchange, the HNX Index also lost by 0.02 points to end at 90.42 points. Total turnover reached $39 million as the volume of transactions reached 58.6 million shares. Similarly, Upcom Index, the measures of 159 unlisted public company, dropped 0.53 points to end at 90.79. And now we're going to take a look at the top gainers and losers of today's trading. In other news of Daily Biz today, now the capital cities of Hanoi will have 13 more industrial parks or IPs spread over 6,000 hectares by 2020, a 300% increase in comparisons with the current number of parks. In the first 9 months of the year, the cities got 10 new IPs. 21 countries and territories are investing in Hanoi's IPs, focusing on support industries, mechanics, and electronics, which require high-quality human resources. Japan, mainland China, and Hong Kong lead the investments in the capital. According to Cushman's & Wakefield's Vietnam, the demand for available warehouses will increase greatly in the near future as several foreign companies will come to Vietnam to take advantage of the cheap labor costs. It added that the IP supply in Hanoi is relatively higher than in Ho Chi Minh City, which is estimated to have 12 new IPs spread over 3,000 hectares. Now, since 2013, the Ministries of Transport has managed to raise more than $5.6 billion from the private sector to invest in traffic infrastructure. This record number is the result of greater transparencies in project planning and the applications of Build, Operate, Transfer model, or BOT. The positive changes from the Ministries of Transport have drawn the participation of many investors, helping to alleviate pressures on the state budget.
Nearly 24 kilometers of the bypass route linking Phu Lý City with Highway 1 is jointly constructed by the Ministry of Transport and the Northern Province of Hà Nam, following the model of Build, Operate, Transfer, or BOT.
To ensure that a project is carried out smoothly, procedures, simplification, and support from authorities at all levels are necessary.
The Ministry of Transport has reviewed already approved projects over the past 3 years as part of the efforts to cut down inappropriate expenditures, saving about $1.6 billion of state budget. In addition, incompetent investors and project managers have also been dismissed. These moves have improved investors' confidence.
Due to insufficient state budget, I think the application of BOT model is a good solution. This policy goes some way to resolve the problems. The new method of raising capital is the evidence of good performance. This can be considered as a cross-check among businesses, state agencies, and local authorities as well as credit institutions.
According to Deputy Prime Minister Wang Zhonghai, from 2011 to 2020, Vietnam needs about $400 billion to develop its infrastructure system, and transport projects will account for 30% of that capital. Therefore, investment capital from the private sector will be the driving force of traffic infrastructure development in the coming time.
As Vietnam and the custom unions of Russia's Belarus and Kazakhstan anticipate the signing of a free trade agreement in 2015, the Vietnam Steel Association or VSA has advocated gradually reducing the steel import tariff over 10 years rather than eliminating it immediately so that domestic steel producers could retain their competitiveness. According to VSA's chairman Hong Ye-Dung, the steel sector already faced difficulties from low consumption coupled with competition from low-priced Chinese steel. Meanwhile, Russia was the world's fifth largest steel exporters in terms of production volume, churning out 70 million tons per year. Eliminating the steel import tariffs in the beginning of 2015 would force many domestic small and medium-sized steel firms out of the game. The country had only a few large enterprises producing more than 1 million tons per year. The domestic plastic industries has achieved high growth in exports but continues to face difficulties arising from a lack of input materials, according to the Vietnam Plastic Associations or VPA. In the third quarters in 2014, the industries achieved a 17.9% year-on-year increase in the total export value of plastic products to $2 billion. Japan was the largest export market for Vietnamese plastic products, accounting for over 24% of total export value. The United States was the second largest export market, though Vietnamese exporters face anti-dumping duties for their export of plastic and spongy air bubble bags to the U.S. Meanwhile, the domestic plastic industries also had opportunities to promote products to the European Economic Zone because anti-dumping duties of between 8 to 30% were imposed on some Asian countries, but not on Vietnam. And before moving on to other news, let's check out the exchange rates of Vietnamese đồng against several other major currencies for today. You're watching Daily Biz, brought to you by VTV International. Now, Vietnam exported 44,000 tons of char fish to Brazil in the first 8 months of this year, surpassing China to top the list of fish fillet export to the country, according to the Vietnam Associations of Seafood Exporters and Producers or VASEP. By September 15, Vietnam's char fish export to Brazil had earned more than $86 million, showing a year-on-year increase of 19%. Brazil has been Vietnam's second largest char fish importer, only after the United States. In 2013, Brazil joined the top 10 largest importers of Vietnamese seafood with a total value of $123 million, of which the import value of char fish worth $122 million. Now, Vietnam will join the Trade Control and Export System or TRACES in granting certificates for our seafood export to the European Union or EU. This is a trans-European web-based network for veterinary health that notifies, certifies, and monitors imports, export, and trade in animals and animal products around the world. The National Agroforestry Fisheries Quality Assurance Department, or NAFIQUAD, suggested that the European Commission's Directorate General for Health and consumers, provide specific guidance, and organize training courses for concerned Vietnamese authorities and employees of Vietnamese enterprises involved in exporting seafood to the EU. The department said joining traces would enable it to simplify certification procedures, promptly inform authorities and businesses of the conditions of goods, and restrict the falsifications of documents. The ocean tuna production chain, newly established by the Ministries of Agriculture and Rural Development, is being carried out effectively in the country's three leading tuna fishing provinces of Bình Định, Phú Yên, and Khánh Hòa. The following report takes a closer look at how the southern central province of Bình Định adapt with this new tuna production model.
Fishermen from Bình Định province are the first in Vietnam to send their batches of tuna, which were caught using Japanese technology, to Japan's local markets for auction. La Tinh, a local fisherman, owns one of the 5 fishing ships in Bình Định pilot group to apply Japanese technology in fishing and storing tuna for export to Japan. These ships are also part of the local tuna production chain.
I have learned how to fish using Japanese technology. I will teach other fishermen these techniques so as everyone here can have a higher quality, fresher catch.
A Japanese-style tuna production chain involves fishing, processing, and consumption of tuna. It is to improve tuna output, quality, and value addition. Local fishermen on these 5 pilot ships are provided with comprehensive fishing and preservation equipment.
We are developing our tuna production chain. Right now, we are asking local seafood enterprises to improve tuna logistics services by buying new logistics ships. These kind of ships are to support fishing ships, purchase freshly caught fish, and preserve them using new methods.
Over the past 8 months, the pilot tuna production chain in Bình Định has helped double or triple the tuna prices during auctions in Japanese markets. Meanwhile, the new modern fishing and preservation technologies have helped local fishermen cut post-catch losses to less than 10%. Once the fish are freshly caught and well preserved, they will reach out to more customers, including overseas.
The Vietnam Food Association, or VFA, has predicted that 2015 will be a tough year for Vietnam's rice exporter, as they will face fierce competitions from their Thai rivals. According to VFA Vice President Phạm Văn Bày, Vietnam will have to compete with not only Asian rice exporters, but also those in African countries in the future. From now until the end of this year, the price of export rice will be likely to stand at the current level, or will see a slight decrease because of the easing demand from export markets. Reports released by VFA shows that in the first 9 months of this year, Vietnam shipped 4.8 million tons of rice abroad with a free on board or FOB value of $2 billion, representing decreases of 7.81% in volume and 7.2% in value compared to the same period last year. Vietnam imports of fruit and vegetable in the first 9 months of this year increased greatly over last year's same period to $125.1 million. Thailand is now the largest supplier of fruit and vegetable to the Vietnam market, trailed by China and Myanmar. Vietnam principally imports pumpkins, tomatoes, potatoes, cabbage, mangoes, apple, and grapes from China. It also imports fruit and vegetable from new markets such as New Zealand, South Africa, India, and the Republic of Korea and Israel. In the first 8 months, Vietnam exporters gross over $1 billion from exporting fruit and vegetable, up 47.4% on year. And that is all we have for you for this edition of Daily Biz. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go to rewatch this program. Thank you and goodbye for now from Hanoi.